Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. I've done a lot of videos recently that involved spinning reels, whether I was on the water fishing, talking about light line techniques, or just providing some tips. I've been using a lot of spinning reels lately, and I got a viewer question saying that they struggle with spinning reels and we're looking for some general tips that might make a spinning reel a little bit more user friendly for them. And I thought that's a pretty good video idea, so I'm gonna go ahead and make a video on that. So today I want to talk about some tips that will really enhance your efficiency when you're using spinning reels. Overall, I think they're extremely easy reels to use. They're probably great for a beginner or a little kid or somebody that's just not that efficient at fishing. They're easier to use than a traditional bait cast reel. But having said that, there are some things that drive me nuts about spinning reels, and I've got some really good tips that will help limit some of those problems. Before I share those with you, I do want to remind you though, if you're looking to support the channel, please use my Tackle Warehouse affiliate link. I'll put that in the video description for you. Every little bit I make from that comes right back into making content to hopefully help others catch more fish. And then also, we've brought back the lake breakdowns through fishthemoment.com. So if you remember several years ago, I did a bunch of lake breakdowns that involved providing waypoints and advice as to how to break down lakes in your area. So if you're going on a vacation or you've got a lake in your home area that you struggle with, go check out the lake breakdowns. I'll put the link for that because I may have done one on your home lake or the lake that you're going to. All right, so the first tip I want to give you has to do with fishing with the spinning reel, actually making your cast with the spinning reel. So if I just made a cast, my line came out, the bait's now in the water, do not close the reel bail by using the reel handle. Don't use the reel handle to close it. Use your hand to close the bail itself. And the reason for that is twofold. One of the first pieces that will break on your spinning reel is your bail spring. And that breaks because you're putting a lot of wear and tear on it based on your reel handle. If you close it by hand, you're going to prolong the life of your spinning reel immensely. The other main reason for that is if you use the reel handle to close the bail, it's going to increase the amount of line twist. We don't want line twist with a spinning rod and reel. So if I can limit that, I'm going to use my hand. So always close it by hand. The other key here is after you've closed it, and this is a mistake that most people don't make, and I have a lot of viewers on my channel that actually see me do it, and they're like, I need to start doing that. After you've made a cast, you close the bail by hand, grab your line and pull it tight to make sure that the line is now in the actual location it needs to be for retrieving your bait. 9 times out of 10, your line will actually find that location on itself and not be an issue. Sometimes your line will actually end up just sitting, say, outside of that. I don't know the actual name of that, but it's a bearing. So if the line's not in that bearing and it's on the bail, when you go to set the hook, what can actually happen is that line will open the bail up and your line slips and you miss out on a hook set. That can cost you fish throughout the day. So maybe it only happens once, maybe it happens 5 times. The point here is you can reduce that 100%. You can take that out of being even a possibility by grabbing the line. You make your cast, close the bail by hand, you pull the line, you make sure that it's in the location that it needs to be. So that's a critical thing in my opinion. Now, like I mentioned, your line twist is the worst enemy of a spinning reel, in my opinion. It's bad with bait casters as well, but a bait caster handles that line twist much better than a spinning reel. So one of the keys to that is not overfilling your spool, right? So in this case, if you see that, I've gone about a 1/16 of an inch short of the top of my spool. If you overfill these spools, when you make a cast, you're going to get a lot of line that comes off your spool. You're going to end up getting the bird's nest where you have like multiple lines coming off the spool, and it can cost you a lot of money based on having to re-spool up the reel. So that is a major thing. Don't overfill the spool. Another key with that is when you are putting new line on your spinning reel, make sure that the line comes off the spool in the same manner it goes onto your reel. So if I was filling a bait caster, I would have my spool facing the reel. You know, a lot of people will put a pencil through here, they'll hold it, and the line will come right off. Do not do that with a spinning reel. Put your spool flat on the floor and then have the line come off around the spool. Put 3, 4, 5 reel handle turns of line on. Give that line some slack. If it coils up, it means you're putting that line on reverse on your spinning reel. It's going to have a ton of line twist. All you got to do is take your spool, place it on the floor on the opposite side, and that means that it'll be going on your reel in a proper manner. So that's a simple way to reduce the amount of line twist. But you don't want to over spool it, and you don't want to make sure that your line is going on in the wrong direction. Now, another thing that I would highly recommend when you're fishing is to lock your drag down. Have your drag almost as tight as it goes. The reason for that is, generally speaking, you're talking about using lighter gear with your spinning rod. So if you've got a medium light or medium action rod, you've got 6, 8, 10-pound test, you're not getting nearly the amount of pressure on those fish when you set the hook as you are, say, with 15 or 17-pound tests on a medium heavy bait casting rod. So to me, I think it's very important to lock your spool down so that when you set the hook, it does not slip much at all. You know, the drags on these have a lot less pressure than a bait caster. So when it slips, you're getting a lot less power being carried over into that hook set. So I highly recommend tightening it down to be able to actually set the hook well into the fish. And then after you've really driven that hook home and you feel like now you're getting to the point where that fish could potentially break you off, you loosen that drag up to the point where it slips really well. Spinning reels have great drags on them. Almost every spinning reel on the market has a reliable drag at this point, especially if you're talking about something that's in that mid-range to high-end range, and you can rely on the drag instead of back reeling or just, you know, trying to control it by hand. Just rely on that drag, loosen it up, play the fish out. It's just a simple thing to do. The last thing I'm going to mention, and this might not appeal to all of you out there, but this is something that really frustrates me on the water. If I'm using a rod where I've got my bait keeper on the same side as my reel seat, so where my spinning reel connects to the bait, so in this case, what I would consider the underneath side of a spinning rod, if my bait keeper was down here, and I'm going to make a cast, or I'm retrieving my bait back, or I'm working a bait where I'm getting a lot of line coming off my spool that's moving in different directions, that line will eventually catch under your bait keeper. To me, the simple fix to that is to move your bait keeper so that it's either on top of your rod, or if you've got a split grip system, you can mount it back here. But the point is, you don't want to have it on the underside of the rod because your line will get caught on that pretty routinely. So you can, if you have a rod that has that, you can move that, you can cut it out and move it and relocate it. I've done videos that show how you can do that. Or you can cut it off and then just you can buy like little kits that come with rubber bands that kind of allow you to mount them wherever they are. But a spinning reel should not have the hook keeper, the bait keeper close to it, because the way the line comes on and off your reel, it really does loop up to the point where it hits your rod frequently and will get caught there. But those are some simple tips that will allow you to be more efficient on the water when you're using spinning gear. They really come down to controllables that the angler can control versus, you know, trying to control what the fish is doing. The more controllables that you take care of on your end means the more efficient you're going to be on the water, leading to more fish catches. Hopefully these spinning reel tips were helpful for you. If they were, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and stay tuned. We'll have a new video coming out tomorrow.